Cool, cool, cool. What is up, everybody? Let's see if this is working. First time live streaming in quite some time. Let me just check if everything's working here. Let's see. Yeah, it is working. Cool. I need to change the thumbnail on this, but we'll do that eventually. I'm just gonna test out some things in the platform real quick, and then we'll get into the actual stream. I'm using Restream, and I'm, like, brand new to this. This seems to be working, though. Just switching some stuff up, moving it around. Um Cool, cool, cool. I wonder if I can see the chat from here. Possibly. I don't know. What is up, everybody? In this video, what I want to talk about is some concepts I've been working on. Hopefully the stream's actually working here. Let me know if you yeah, leave a message in the chat if you can see me and you can hear me. I should be able to see the chat. I'm not sure though. Yeah. All right. So what I want to talk about is this concept that I've been working on for the past, I don't know, handful of years. And it kind of like is a Ray Kurzweil AGI pilled bet. I wouldn't say Ray Kurzweil pilled, but kind of. But really, I think it's pretty obvious at this point, especially if you look at Argentina. Argentina just passed the first form of like non-human organization personhood, or they're working on that at least. And I think we're about to see recursively self-improving companies. And that's something that I've been working on for a little bit, is like, what does the recursively self-improving company look like? What does the completely autonomous organization look like? And how can we start to build those? Um, Let me just sip some coffee for people. Let me know if you can hear me, or let me if you're saying anything in the chat. I might not be able to see it. We'll see. But I think we're in an interesting time right now because it seems that super powerful AI systems are like right around the corner. They're going to become much more stateful towards the end of this year. Like these systems are going to become much more stateful. Let me put myself on the big screen here. There we go. Yeah, I think the AI systems that we have today are good, but we're on an exponential, and a lot of people forget that. And I think what we're about to see is the harnesses that these systems are built within, like Claude Code or Codex or Hermes Agent, like all of these different harnesses are starting to get a lot better. But the cool thing that the Frontier Labs can do is they can engineer and design a harness and then do applied reinforcement learning within that harness. And then the active parameters of the neural network within the LLM can start to build a model of that harness a lot better as they're building and scaling these models and training them up. So my bet is we're about to see very stateful and aware agents pretty soon, and we already kind of have them in a sense. Like if you use Claude in a repository, it can build a mental model of it really well and be pretty autonomous. But what we're about to see is kind of like the loops that are starting, where the models can prompt themselves and keep going in a loop. I think what we're about to see is kind of like the agents that are self-directing pretty soon. And the emergence that you get from that is something that looks more like a self-improving company, like a completely autonomous company that's self-improving. Argentina is already kind of like leaning into this with their AI personhood things that they're working on and the non-human organization personhood things. Um, but this is something that I'm extremely excited for. Let's see. Let me just we'll go over here. Yeah. So my bet and my thesis on what this is gonna look like is it's kind of gonna be like similar to a normal company that we would expect today because you kinda have to like meet uh reality where it is. But eventually this will get really alien over time probably. But I think what is really gonna be valuable in the future is a few different things. So one, the thesis is AI systems are becoming exponentially more capable. We just talked about that. the nature of work is changing, the nature of organizations are changing, and value and the way value is created in general is changing. And I think trust is obviously becoming a pretty rare asset, which is why live streaming, I think, is going to be a very important thing in the future. And a lot more people are starting to do live streams. Less and less people are actually making things like cold email work very well. I know people who have had like large cold email agencies making tens of millions of dollars per year, but their cold email agencies aren't performing as well. It's hard for them to get new clients now, even though they've been doing it for so long because of the weird information landscape that we're in now. And it's hard to build a company just with like outbound or just like short form content because it's becoming slopified. So trust is becoming this asset that's it's becoming scarce. It's rare. And I think we're going to find solutions for that. But one of them is like what I'm doing right here, a live stream, right? And then memory systems and communities are the final moats. If you're going to build something online, you have to have a memory system in a community that compounds with each other. Otherwise, you might as well go build in the world of atoms. Like the online world that we have once known is going away. I think it'll also evolve and change and it'll continue to exist. But I kind of see the future as like if you're going to be building something online, it's going to be like a combination of communities, networks, memory systems, experiences, worlds, and things of that nature. And there'll probably be like micro services within each world. But on the whole, the internet is going to be changing drastically. Whenever you have agentic systems that can actually perform the tasks of a company, like currently, let's use the simple example of a marketing agency. A marketing agency, you do outbound or you do some type of marketing mechanism to get people inbound to you. And then you have conversations with these people, you sell them, and then you supply a marketing service. That entire system is automatable with AI today, which you can build a completely autonomous AI company that is a marketing agency today. Most people don't realize that. That is something you can do today. You can have an LLM or an agent loop going out and doing outbound, reaching out to different people, finding leads, reaching out to them, and then selling them into something extremely cheap. It can sell them into something extremely cheap and onboard them into some type of marketing campaign, whether you're doing Facebook ads or you're doing cold outbound for those companies, etc. Like you can have a autonomous setting company or an autonomous marketing agency today. Like that's already doable with sufficient harness engineering, with sufficient loop engineering, and just understanding what are the ins and outs of those businesses. And that's the weird thing right now is most of the people in the marketing agency space aren't really good at engineering loops, which gives like this gap for somebody who does understand a marketing agency, has run a marketing agency, but also is on the frontier of AI and can engineer loops and engineer autonomous agents and engineer harnesses. You now have this weird capability to like build an autonomous company, which is insane to think about. And obviously, we're just at the beginning of that. Like, sure, there's going to be drift with the goals of the agents at their current capability and the current harnesses that we have. Give it 2 months. Give it 2 months, 3 months at most. Whenever we get the Fable 5 class models back, and Fable 5 is just the beginning, we're going to get Fable 5.2, Fable 5.4 eventually. And then we're also going to have much better agent harnesses that are much more stateful, and the agents will be much more sample efficient at using context. The ability for these things to be extremely autonomous is going to be insane. Um, and you can genuinely build a recursively self-improving company with that is what my bet is. So this is what I've been working on the entire time. And again, it's kind of like a bet on the acceleration. If the acceleration stops here, which I think it's obvious that it's not, then this won't happen. But if it continues, I think it's happening in like 2, 3 months. And it's kind of beginning already. You can see very first signs of this, like companies like Polshia. Polshia is it's basically an autonomous marketing agency. You sign up, the agent onboards you, it understands and learns about your business, it builds a memory of your business, and then it starts doing outbound on behalf of your business without you really doing much at all. That's something that exists today. Polshia is a $10 million per year company that is basically like a 80% autonomous marketing agency, right? So These are starting to happen, but what I think once as you build a completely autonomous marketing agency or once as you build a completely autonomous company, it's gonna be extremely valuable and it's gonna grow really, really rapidly, but then it kind of, like, eats itself over time. So you kinda need, like, more than just the autonomous company. You need, like, the network, the memory system, and the community behind it. Otherwise, you don't really have any moats. The weird thing about AI is, like, the aspect of having a human in the loop is in some sense a moat. Um, so my bet is you kinda wanna have, like, 3 different things, right? You wanna have the community layer where you can communicate with people and you have memory systems. So whenever people in the community actually execute, it, builds this multi-party memory system that grows the entire organization, the entire community intelligence, and everybody who plugs in to that intelligence, everybody who plugs into that memory system gets access to that memory system and can use it and leverage it whenever they're building their own things. And then that can plug into an actual factory, a software factory. You may have seen Stripe. They're working on something called Minions. Stripe Minions is an internal software factory in the company Stripe. There's not really any good software factory products out there because it takes a lot of configuration to your own company. Um, but companies like Stripe, WorkOS are now building internal software factories where they're just basically delegating to the factory. Kind of like if you think about, Tesla and Elon, the Tesla car isn't the product. The Tesla car isn't the product. The product is the factory. Elon builds the factory, which is the product that builds the car, and the factory is really the product. That's kind of the bet here is, like, software factories are the new thing. And it allows you to output insane volume of software. So if you have a combination of the community and a collective intelligence, really is what it is. It's a collective intelligence platform. And then you also have a software factory that allows you to spit out software to an insane degree. And then you also have the marketing platform that is a combination of things like Hyros, Palantir, Go High Level, Fable 5, and a scheduling software. Like this is a recursive closed loop that just keeps scaling. And as long as you have multi-party memory systems and shared context and tooling and all of that good stuff between these three things, this is something that can just keep going as long as you keep pouring fuel on the fire. And for this type of system, the fuel on the fire is simply ideas. And a lot of the ideas will be captured by the community. So you can imagine where people join the community, they talk about things, they build things, they use the products, and all of that is going into the community memory system. And now it's allowing everybody in that community to build, ship, and deploy so much more, which causes a feedback loop, a compounding moat that grows the community itself. The community is the distribution layer. The community is the trust moat. The community has the multi-party memory system, which is the final moat. You cannot really have a moat without having stored data, stored intelligence and stuff like that that is accessible to only the people who join it. Otherwise, like you can't really imagine another moat online. Like a lot of the internet businesses are dead already. I don't think people will realize that unless we really pause AI, which I don't think we're going to. That being said, I think if we would build a recursive loop like this and you focus yourself and you see yourself as more of like a world builder, I think that's where all the alpha is going to be in the future. Let me see. Make sure my thing is working here well for you guys. Um, so this is like the end state of what it could look like. So let's go back up here. Again, you have the community platform, you have the software factory, and then you have the marketing factory, I guess you could call it. And then the community platform is kind of like the hub that ties these others together. And all of this together shares memory, shares context, shares execution, and they can all delegate and hand off workflows to each other back and forth. And it's a complete loop. It's literally, excuse me, it's literally a company at that point. Like this is every single role a company has: product, uh, product, marketing, organization, governance. That's it. right? And it can start to look like this over time, which is this is an extremely high leverage thing to do, as you can see. Imagine you get 20 people that are this augmented with AI in your community, right? So, ver th sometimes I wish I could, like, see into your guys' brain to know, like, okay, is this clicking? Because some of this can be, like, pretty vague, or it can be pretty, complex, or I might just be doing a really bad job explaining it. But to me, it makes perfect sense, where let's say you start the business, you start a community, you launch a community, and you have basically the factory for software products, the factory for marketing, and you do execution, and all of it feeds back to the multi-party memory system. And then let's say you want to monetize access to this memory system and access to your community and access to all of the things that you're doing. You simply put a paywall and then you can say, "Hey, Bob, I have a factory. You want to plug into my factory? All right, join my community, get access to some of the memory that I've built up by using the factory. Now, guess what, Bob? You get access to the factory, you get access to the memory, and you get access to the community." And then Jill can join, and then Tom can join, and then the more people that join, guess what? The faster it grows. It's a compounding loop that feeds back on itself, right? So, for example, Polynet is the platform that we're building, or I'm building, and we already have about 6 communities on there so far, and each of these can do that exactly, where you have the community, people in the community build, you use the agent, which is effectively a factory, and I'll be building that live here in a second, so you guys can see exactly how it works. And then you have the actual factory itself. So this is like the software factory where you can spin up a bunch of agents and then just like run it really autonomously. Like you can see that agents just hand work back and forth to each other until it's complete, and then they hand it off back to you to verify, and then you can just like deploy, which is amazing. Um, And then lastly is distribution engineer, which this one is still being worked on. Uh, yeah, but essentially you should be able to connect YouTube, X, and any other platform. And then you create content like what I'm doing right now. I'm live streaming. This will chop up all of the live streams and distribute it across all of the platforms, create YouTube videos for me. And ideally, the goal is we should be putting out 100 pieces of content per day. If you're not putting out 100 pieces of content per day, you are left behind. If you look at people like Alex Hormozy or people who are like really growing really fast online, they put out 400 pieces of content per day. So eventually, I think we'll have to put out 2,000 per day. And it won't be hard to do that eventually, as long as we have really good systems and you're actually creating the seed of the content, which is like the live streaming and stuff like that. That's really long form. And then again, it all feeds back into the memory system. It self improves. All of this is context and data. The one thing that I like to think about is like, if we take a big step back and we just kind of visualize this for a second, and many people aren't going to like this reference, but what does Palantir's ontology system look like? Palantir has something called an ontology system, and it allows them to see all of this different data and context and intelligence about different markets, about different companies, about different things happening in the world, and it relates it together and can make decisions off of it very well. That's effectively what we want to build. But for a completely autonomous company, where kind of how I explained, you have everything building on top of each other, but you also have the system that can analyze it, relate those concepts together, and then make decisions and act from there. Observe, orient, decide, act, right? And that's effectively what is becoming buildable today, which is insane. Again, we're still early. Like most of these systems aren't going to like work the way you would want it to, because there's going to be things like context drift. There's going to be things like the context window being flooded, and you're going to have to start a new thread or whatever. But those things are being solved as we speak. Like I don't think threads are going to be a thing for very long. You know how on ChatGPT or Claude, you have the threads on the left panel, and you can kind of like click between the threads that you once that you have. I don't think those are going to be a thing very long. Like I think in 6 months from now, threads are a thing of the past. You don't need threads anymore. Threads are a waste of time. Just talk to the agent. It has sufficient context and tool calling abilities and context routing abilities and memory systems to be able to recall pretty much anything you have talked about over any reasonable duration of time. And that's going to be where we start to work on like real cognitive architectures for these models and real good memory systems. That stuff is coming today with the harness engineering that these frontier companies are doing. We're not going to need threads. Threads are something that are dying already, and most people don't realize that. Um, so all of this to say is like the recursively self-improving company is practically here, and I'm super excited. That being said, let's actually start building because that's what this the live stream is all about. Let's actually build and talk about it. So I'm building a few different things, as we discussed, three different things that kind of like feedback on each other and recursively improve each other. But yeah, let's just do it. Let's build. I should have some music going, but I don't. We'll, we'll get there eventually. Building silence for today. Um, I really want to know if my chat's working. That's part of the problem here. My chat, I can't see any conversation, but I bet there's conversation happening somewhere. I'm gonna grab my phone and look. Give me a second. Let's see here. Let's see if there's any conversation on the live stream. There's probably gonna be none. That's so funny. Yep, zero. Zero conversation. Super lit. Cool. Now we know the answer. All right. Back to the video. So let's see. Initialize, deploy, run new account reconciliation, diagnostic on staging, blah, 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 blah. Go. So what I'm doing right now with Polynet is I have a few different things going here. So in here, you can see Polynets up here. Maybe I can do this. Did that do anything? Oh, there. Yeah, I don't like that. Let's do this. What the fuck? That's not doing anything. Oh. Whatever. We'll just keep it. So what I've done in Polynet is we have a headless codex runtime as the agent. So you can actually just like use your codex account or your ChatGPT rate limits in Polynet. And so yeah, as you can see, Codex is the agent harness. And pretty soon we'll have Claude Code. I think I figured out a way to get Claude Code inside of third-party apps without pissing off Anthropic. We'll see. They might figure it out and get pissed anyways. But I think I've figured out a way, and it's actually quite simple to use Claude Code in third-party apps without them getting pissy, which would be sick if that works properly. Live smoke. Ba, 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 ba. Okay. Refresh. What I'm super excited for is whenever I can have multiple accounts. Yeah, multiple accounts. So multiple X accounts, multiple YouTube accounts, multiple Instagram accounts, multiple everything. Like imagine having 12 social media accounts per platform and you create content on one platform, like what I'm doing right now, streaming. And then distribution engineer, which is this platform that I'm building, chops it all up and distributes it everywhere completely autonomously. And the goal, like I said, is to be able to recombine content sufficiently to be able to have, I would say, about 100 pieces of content per day per platform is probably a good metric to go for. And I don't think you want to do any less than that. Otherwise, you're just not going to grow very fast. I think we should pause here and actually just build a mental model of the current spot we are with the ontology for the backend and the content systems and how the ontology works from first principles, and see how we're sitting overall with it. Is it done? List what we have done, list what we have left from here, just build a mental model for our current position. Ba-da-ba-da-dum. I really need to get some music going. We need the vibes. There's no vibes. There's no vibes at all. I just don't wanna get banned by YouTube because I know they're, like, stingy with music. Well, not banned, I won't get banned, but you know what I'm saying. Yo, hello, Tamil from India. What's up, Tamil? How you doing? Tamil. Cool, 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 cool. Plan next slice. Dude. Yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, dope. What do we got here? Ba-ba-dum, ba-ba-dum, ba-ba-dum. Cool. I think what we need to do before we get too deep in the ontology system is finish the scheduling system and make it so that the content system works and we can have kind of like the Chris agent doing the creation of content and autonomously posting it so that or autonomously scheduling it, let's say that. So that we can actually test it out and get real data and evidence, and then we can work on the ontology system from there. Vault Keeper Records. What's up? WW. WWW. What you up to, man? Go. Yeah. Yeah. I really need some music. The vibes are just so off. All right, let's do it. So, some of you may or may not be aware, but Anthropic doesn't like it when people use their Claude Code stuff, like their rate limits, their Claude rate limits, and other third-party platforms. But I think there's a way to get around it. I can't paste in here. What the hell? All right, we'll open a tab. Whatever. And this is the way to get around it. You go right here, and you go through the actual authentication mechanism with Claude. I'm not sure I should be showing this, but you go through, you go with your subscription. I'm gonna have to like go to a different screen before I pull up a a link that you guys shouldn't have access to, a code. But yeah, you go and you directly authorize it within a computer, like a cloud computer. You get your code, and then you go paste it in. Hopefully you guys can't see this. I'm gonna be cooked if you guys. Let me triple check the stream. No, yeah, we're chill. We're chill. Okay. Yeah, you copy your code. You go back to the little spot. You paste it in. Click enter. Kaboom. Now let me go back. Let's see here. It says you probably can't even see it. That sucks. Let's see here, dude. There we go. Kind of see it, but I now have it logged in successfully. Now I can use Claude inside of this platform with my rate limits and not pay Anthropic a gazillion dollars per month for tokens. Yeah, let's test it out. God damn it. Dude, I'm using Restream right now. I mean, it's sick. I like it. But at the same time, it's like, what the hell is going on? It could just be a little better. Just a little better, you know. Yeah. Anyways, just a little better. Let's see here. It auth. We know only if a later check succeeds inside the same Daytona sandbox. Oh, okay. Where's that at? I don't see any button that says check connection. God damn it. Can you like curse on YouTube live? Not aware. Can we just test it or build something that auto checks and shows it in UI when someone is doing the connection flow. I don't know why I'm typing right now. Deepening the ontology. We need the product loop working. Now you're talking my language. Let's just see where we are at the ground truth on this. We want to have at first just the ability to do scheduling of content autonomously for X and for YouTube Shorts. For actual long form posts on YouTube, it'll be a little bit more manual. I'll just kind of like drag and drop in the video, or if I have a live stream, we can eventually automate it and we can just chop up the live stream into a long form video and post it from there. But for now, let's just focus on X and YouTube Shorts for content. But first, let's just do X because X is super simple. It's just text. Let's analyze the ground truth, build a mental model of our current position, and see where we are. Has 5.5 codecs regressed for me? I think it's still good for me. I mean, it's probably not perfect. It's probably not like it was whenever it first came out because it was pretty nasty. It's pretty good. But if you have like really long chats with it, it definitely like goes off the rails pretty quickly. It can like lose context coherence pretty fast. So I find that if as long as I'm in a fresh chat with it, it's usually pretty good. It's fast, it's snappy, has good context and intelligence for what I'm doing at least. But I think 5.6 comes out in 2 days. So now we need to plan the way to actually use Claude in the control room. We should have a model selector that kind of selects uh, the Daytona environment that has Claude in it, and then we can prompt it and see if it works from there. What are your thoughts? And we also just need to do deep research on this to see how we can actually connect this all together and have it make sense. Yeah. Yeah. So many tabs, dude. I never have tabs open, or that used to be the truth. I used to never have tabs, and then vibe coding became a thing, and I have to have a bunch of tabs open for some reason. Yeah. There's a poly market for the 5.6 drop mid-July. Interesting. I've heard a lot of people talking about this Thursday for 5.6. I feel like they almost have to release it this Thursday because I feel like Anthropic is about to get approval from the government to go ahead and go forward with Fable 5. But we'll see. We will see. And there's also a lot of vague posting on X about it coming out Thursday. Do we have the ability for our agent to see the different posts from X already within the directory system and be able to search through those and be able to use that context efficiently and effectively already? Um, That should probably be a place that we start improving, if not, and then from there, it seems to me the best thing to do is just have sufficient tooling for our agent to be able to schedule posts, write posts, and even threads, and then use the X API to be able to post those autonomously. Um, and then after that, we can start to implement the links and stuff like that and do the attribution to those links. Let me know if this makes sense. Because we want it to be very general and very autonomous and give the agent as much control as possible. And basically, we'll just have like a heartbeat system, maybe even like a few different types of heartbeat systems. And we can let the user select, I want to post 1 time to 2 times per day, or they want to post 2 to 5 times per day, or they want to post 10 to 20 times per day. And we can have like 3 different options for volume of posts. And that is just like the cadence of the heartbeat of the agent and how many times it's planning different posts, if that makes sense. Lit, lit. Please go through. Okay. Do you ever like use Codex and you're talking to it and you're about to submit the prompt and it just fails? You spit out a whole paragraph of sentences and then it just doesn't go through. Feels bad. That's like the worst. And that happens so often. At least for me. But let's take a big step back and look at the system that we've been working on here. Analyze it from the irreducible first principles of database design, architecture, logic, leading up towards the front end, and just build a robust mental model of it. Analyze, review, look for edge cases or potential vulnerabilities. Let's rank it on simplicity, scalability, reliability, robustness, and security, and see how it looks. But. Yes, exactly. It should be Codex or Claude Code, basically a harness picker instead of a model picker, and that can bring us to the stateful sandbox that we need for the particular harness we selected. I'm running out of coffee, guys. We're gonna have to get a re-up here pretty soon. Feels bad. Yeah, harness picker. Let's analyze the ground truth, orient ourselves, and then let's plan the best first slice to do from here. Guys, if you guys are looking for a community of builders and vibe coders, go ahead and join Polynet. It should be linked. It's probably not in the link below, just because I don't think I have a description on the live stream yet. We'll get one eventually. But go to any of my links on the YouTube channel, and you should see polynet.ai, or you can even type in polynet.ai, and you can join Polynet for free, completely free community of builders and vibe coders, and basically you get your own hosted Codex runtime that interfaces with the memory system of Polynet, and you get access to all of the intelligence in here, which is sick. So, and you can also, if you want to, build your own and monetize it. Go. Let's see what we got going on here. What is my workout program like? I do a PPL, push pull legs. I used to do an Arnold split where you isolate each body part per day of the week. So like chest day, shoulder day, arm day, leg day. I find that kind of like, I wouldn't say it overtrains, it actually kind of undertrains in a way, because your body can take a lot of volume as long as you're fueling it properly and you're getting enough sleep. And, with a PPL, push-pull legs, you can have for one, you can actually, like, take 1 extra day off the gym so you can focus on working, but also you can do more volume per muscle group, if that makes sense. Because whenever you're pressing, you can do shoulders and chest on the same day, and then you do 2 other exercises, like 2 other workouts, because you do push, and then you do pull legs, and then you're doing push again. So it takes about 48 hours for your muscle to actually, like, fully become rested and healed after your first workout. So about 48 hours later, or 72 if you wanna really make sure it's good, you can hit another push day. Um, so PPL is usually the best split from my experience, and some people even do, like, full body workouts, and they just like to stimulate the entire muscle group every single day, and they just don't overdo it. They don't kill it every day, but they stimulate it every day. Da 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 da. Go. Let's see here. Hmm, 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 hmm. Bro's creatine maxing and sleep maxing for now. Hell yeah. That's what I like to hear. Creatine maxing is good for the cognition as well. I haven't been creatine maxing in a while. I need to do that. I've been caffeine maxing with the coffee, bro, and just, like, token maxing. I don't know, I haven't I'm curious to know what your guys' token profile looks like. I lost my 100-day streak, unfortunately. I went on another 50-day streak, but I lost that too. Now I'm on 16 days. But, I'm curious, drop your profiles in the chat. I wanna know your longest streak and your peak tokens. I'm curious. Token maxing, bro. Cool, cool, cool. Let's focus just on improving the X placement retrieval. That should be the first focus for now. Let's just build a mental model of our current position, map it all out, and list out what we have already conceptually and explain it to me and chunk it down so I can get the full picture. And then let's think about what we need to do from there. There's a new way of orchestrating agents that loops enable, and I'm super excited to explore it. 25 days longest streak, 680 million peak tokens. That's a pretty good peak tokens. 25 days is pretty solid too, to be honest. Almost a month straight. That's pretty good. Almost a billion peak token or almost 70% to a billion peak tokens. Hell yeah. Pretty solid. I'm just excited for whenever you can actually start actually orchestrating agents like this. People talk about agent orchestration right now, but the future of agent orchestration is you have an agent harness with its own computer. Everybody's trying to do multi-agent orchestration on one computer, their local computer on their desktop. But that's not the future of orchestrating agents. The future of orchestrating agents is you have one agent harness per cloud computer, a cloud execution environment that spins up and spins down on the fly as you're using it. And then you can have one of those orchestrating a team of those. And I think this is the future of orchestration in general. And I think it's starting now. Now that we have loops and loops are becoming a thing that are actually reasonably reliable, you can build a control room that interfaces with a fleet of agents that all have their own computer. This is the shape of the AGI, is an agent that owns its computer, another agent that owns its computer, another agent, like all of them own their own computer. So with Factory, of course, the UI crashes because it's being built right now. But with Factory, the thesis is basically that is that the future of agent orchestration is every single agent owns its own computer. Let me see if I can make that fit better. And then you can orchestrate agents in that way. It's a lot better. They segment better. Kind of think of it like a human. A team of humans, each human has their own computer. For someone new to loops, what's the highest leverage ones to set up? Um, it depends on what you're doing. I'm curious to hear like what are you working on? But back to the agent orchestration. Like if you think of it like a team, like a team of humans, each human has their own separate computer. They're all isolated. And then the workflows that we have built for ourselves in an organization are for this structure, not for a structure where you're orchestrating multiple agents on one computer. Um, so if you think about the way GitHub works, or you think about the way any different application or platform works at all, it's to orchestrate separate computers with different minds controlling each computer. And for some reason, everybody's trying to just have like an infinite number of minds working on one computer, and then you have to cause all of this like weird governance and Rails and stuff like that. But the reality is, Codex and OpenClaw, or not OpenClaw, Claude Code, are eating the multi agent orchestration layer within their one harness. The harness is the brain, and each brain should have its own computer. I think that's a massively like paradigm shifting mental model that I don't know why people aren't doing that. It seems obvious to be doing that. But yeah, I'm curious, Billy, Billy Anderson. I'm curious to hear what you're working on, and maybe I can have a better response for you. Dun-dun-dun-dun. How needed is this actually? If we were to orient ourselves and decide what is the absolute best thing to do overall, is this a nice to have or a must have? You think the large context window will really unlock multi agent orchestration? Yeah, I think bigger context windows will help, but honestly, like, the context windows are already pretty big. 1,000,000 tokens for a context window is quite large. I know my context window doesn't seem to be 1,000,000 tokens, maybe it's bigger than I think it is, but I think what humans do really well is even if we have, like, pretty finite context windows, we're really good at taking very sparse amounts of information and then building mental models off of very little information. So whenever I like read a book or you read a book, usually our context window can't read the entire page at once like an LLM. But what we can do is kind of like read a couple pages and then with some of our memory systems, but also just like being able to build models off of the context that we read, we can take that very small sample and build very rich mental models from it. And I think what we're going to see with the Frontier Labs is they're gonna engineer much better agent harnesses that are much more sample efficient for context, and then they're gonna use reinforcement learning techniques to make the active parameters use context in a much better way, um, which is gonna be really interesting to see. Da-da-da-dum. Uh, Matt Pocock skills. I'm not sure who that is. How do you fix the autistic vibes in Codex? Honestly, it's a feature, not a bug. Lean into the autism. But, um, I don't know if you can. Like, I think it's just the nature of GPT 5.5. Once as we get, like, a more tasteful model from OpenAI, which I think we will, maybe GPT 5.6 or maybe one after that, I think we will, yeah, they just need to have different pre-training techniques because they do, like the way they train their models is, like, all focused on post-training logic optimization, which is why their models are super cheap because they don't have big models like Anthropic, but, it's kind of crazy to think about. The intelligence per token of GPT 5.5 is nuts. It is by far the craziest on the market, it's not even close. The Hermes agent. I haven't really tested any of the Hermes or OpenClaw agents personally. I'm just I'm like I understand the concept and it's like very useful for like orchestration of certain things with heartbeats on your local computer, but some of it's kind of like scatterbrained and they're not fully there yet. So for me, Codex is like a scalpel that does a lot of focused work really aggressively, and that's my my best use case for now. But I am interested in the Hermes shaped agents in the future as the models start to get there. I think it'll be really amazing. I have never done psychedelics personally, so I don't really have any comments. Um, cool. So let's orient ourselves and figure out what do we actually need to do from here. You said your call is do not spend the next slice on this unless we are specifically doing deletion hardening. We can do deletion hardening, but you also said uh, add operator visibility remediation for duplicate canonical rows. Why can't we just have the backend system handle that? It should be robust enough to handle that itself. I mean, we could probably have some operator view as well to make sure, but a lot of this should be extremely deterministic. Let's think about it. Let's see here. Go. Plan slice. Let's let's. When the composer harnesses Claude Code, Bitforge should run one control room turn through Claude Code inside of the persistent control room. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, let's do deep research on this with Daytona and see what they have in their documentation and see what we can learn for the integration of our UI into that and make sure it has really good UI and UX. Don't change anything yet, just plan and do research. Wow. Are you guys feeling the it's are you guys feeling the acceleration? I'm feeling the acceleration, dude. I'm feeling the acceleration. Naval's philosophy on escaping competition through authenticity. Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. You know, Naval, his hierarchy of leverage, where it's like code, media, people, and capital. That's changing a lot right now because of AI, which is kind of crazy. Gbrain. I need to look more into Gbrain. I know like what it is in the concept, but I haven't like dove into the technical details. I need to do that. But let's do that now. Let's go to ChatGPT. Can you do deep research on Gary Tan's Gbrain? Um, yeah, we'll just do that. Boop. Go. No. See, this is a problem. Codex ran out of room in the model's context window. Start a new thread or clear earlier history before retrying. God damn it. Just gonna do a little handoff action. Yo. Here is where we left off. There we go. You know, Naval is a really, really good thinker, and he is a philosopher. That's what first off, the most interesting thing about the best entrepreneurs on earth is they're all philosophers. Naval's a philosopher. He studied physics in college, and he's a big follower of David Deutsch. Peter Thiel's a philosopher. Some people don't like Peter Thiel, but he's really good at what he does. Can't lie. So he is a philosopher. He studied philosophy and game theory and stuff like that. Um, Alex Karp is a philosopher. Who else is a philosopher who's a really good entrepreneur? Obviously, Elon's a physicist. He studied physics and economics. Um, but so one of my favorites is Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger is a philosopher. What's my AI bill? I don't know. Nothing too crazy. But Charlie Munger, if you haven't looked into the way Charlie Munger thinks and the way he views the world through very simple lenses, it's beautiful. It's uh, you can't even really describe how like like it's just so simple, and he ties everything together in such simple ways, and he believes that the world is inherently very simple, and if you apply the right mental models, it is, and he has some interesting mental models to view the world from, interesting lenses. Ba-ba-ba-bum. GBrain is Gary Tan's open source agent brain. Markdown remains the human readable source of truth, while PGLite and Postgres embeddings. Why do you have embeddings, bro? I feel like you don't even need embeddings anymore. What is this? Hmm. Okay. Dude, threads are gonna die. Like, the chat threads kinda like over here, you see on the left panel here? These are about to die. No, these are not gonna be useful very soon. Kinda crazy. I say give it 1 year. We will not have threads anymore. I could be so wrong on that, but that's my bet. 1 year, threads are dead. No more threads. Does it have some form of immune system to be able to prune unused memories and then surface the ones that are used most often? Because if not, it just seems like it's gonna get noisy really fast, and you can build good memory systems with this architecture, but I need to know if there's an immune system. We need we need more agents, dude. Yes, threads are terrible UX. Like, I love threads because they're really good at storing state and context, but horrible UX, horrible. And I even have threads in my like, if we go here on distribution engineer, we have a threads panel. If we go to software factory, we have a threads panel, god damn it. And if we go to Polynet, we have a threads panel. But I think threads are about to die. So I'm working on reimagining the UX and UI of each of these platforms. Um, and pretty soon, none of them will have a threads panel. None of them will have a threads panel very soon. I would give it 2 months. We will not have any more threads panels on any of my products. I'm curious to hear what you guys are working on. Are you guys building any projects or working on anything cool? But I'm about to go get a coffee or refix. What is my UI design workflow? Um, Usually I just uh, let me think about this. Yeah, Codex cannot design. If I was relying on Codex to build this or build this, it, like, would not do this at all. It would not be this at all. Really, it's mine is you kinda wanna think about, like, what are the humans optimized for? Humans optimize for dopamine, and we just don't want any friction in our lives. Any amount of friction between us and dopamine, we just try to get rid of so that we can consume more dopamine. Like, that is what human psychology optimizes for. So, the best UI and UX is the least amount of touch points, the least amount of cognitive load, the least amount of clicks, the least amount of everything possible. Ideally, the world's best product is you're fat, you click one button, now you're jacked, right? The world's best product is one button, everything changes. So with AI, you can get closer to that, which is crazy. And pretty soon, the best UI and UX will literally be a blank page like this. Let me make it bigger for you. So we just have a blank page and a box. And the unfortunate thing about this is like 99% of humanity will see a blank page in a box and they're like, well, what the hell do I do with it? But what you can start to do pretty soon, and you can technically do this already, but is have the agents be much more proactive. So whenever you are onboarding onto the platform, they meet you where you are, and they can, with heartbeats and stuff like that, they can be much more proactive and intervene where you need help. So really, I think the ultimate UI is just going to be blank screen with an agent that speaks to you like a human. And then humans like to interface with each other. So really the ultimate interface is a human. And I think we're gonna be building this. We're gonna be building digital humans pretty soon. We're making good progress on it. The agents are pretty good. Um, so that's kind of the way I like to think about it. In the end states of like where do we go whenever we have AGI? Screens kind of like go away. They kind of fall off and they are in the background, and you have like this robot that you're talking to. And there's no interface. You're either just talking, or if you have like a Neuralink, you're just thinking and things happen. That is the ultimate user experience, is you think and things happen. So, yeah, that was let me I digress. The way I design is I start with that philosophy, you then build something that works at all, and then you apply the Elon algorithm. And the Elon algorithm goes like this: question every single requirement. Is it needed for it to function physically at all? If not, delete it. Delete, 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 until you are left with just the bare bones of what is required to function at all. And then even then, you can probably still delete more. But if you're not adding something back, you haven't deleted enough. And most people just optimize things that shouldn't exist at all. Um, so just delete. Question every requirement. Delete, delete, delete. Um, to be honest, I don't really like. I don't. I use Codex, to be honest. I just use GPT 5.5. Um, Front end design is all just like my taste, I guess you could say. And then I just like tell Codex exactly what I want very slowly and iteratively over time. It's not really like a specific tool that does it. But if I were to choose a tool to do it, it would probably be Claude 4.8, Opus 4.8. It's really good. Um, I'm gonna get a coffee refill because I'm like super addicted to it. Can't function without it. And I'll be right back. Give me 5 seconds, guys. I'm not gonna leave you for too long, but I need a coffee refill. I'll bring my phone with me so I can talk to you guys while I'm down there. All right, be right back. Cool. See, that wasn't too long. Gbrain has an immune system. Has immune system pieces, not a fully aggressive printing immune system. Ew, dude. Emission control, usage tracking, hot memory decay. Mm, I mean, it's not too bad, but could be a little better. I feel like a lot of the memory systems that exist use a lot of deterministic stuff to sort the memory system and filter out context. But I think you want it to be probabilistic. You want it to be intelligent. You want like a Fable 5 level model to be able to be the gardener of the memory system. And you have an agent just focused on making sure the memory system is good. And everything is tracked. It can see like what's been used, when, how, etc. But it is the gardener, and it's just has its own state of the memory system. Kind of like Claude Code has a state of the coding repo. Fable has the state of the memory system. Da, 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 da. Sick. How are we sitting overall now? Cool. Now let's analyze once more the the way sandboxes are spun up and spun down, the way they decay and stuff over time. So if we think about the different roles and ownerships of sandbox, we have like agent authority over sandboxes for deletion. We have human authority sandboxes over for deletion, and then we have system authority for deletion. Just analyze, look at those, and build a robust mental model of how that entire system's currently working conceptually, and explain the phases to me so that I can have a mental model for them. Lit. Let's see. Um, yeah. See, this is kind of like what I was talking about with the memory systems. You kind of want something that's more like this, where you have like a council of agents, and these are all like you probably want to have the frontier of intelligence for these agents and in some interesting context and system prompts. And then you also have like different compilers and event ledgers, but also you just let the agents be the gardeners of the memory system. And they can kind of like communicate and work together to like rank different memory files and different memory artifacts and stuff like that to just decide which ones to prune over time that aren't being used. And these agents should be like the autonomous stateful uh, product, really, is kind of like the mental model that I like to have with them. And you can build a multi-party memory system, which is what this is showing, where each person can plug into this memory system. And now we can all kind of have a collective intelligence, shared access to this memory system that enables our agents to be better over time. Let's take a step back here, analyze and review, build a mental model of the current implementation, look for edge cases or vulnerabilities, make sure it all looks good. Cool. I got the coffee re-up. We're good now. We're good for a couple hours at least. Hmm. What is something that would be useful to research right now? What is this? OpenAI's new voice model. How do you decide when building products what use case to tackle? Do you mean like deciding like what product to build at all in the first place? Like kind of like what problem to solve in the market? Is that what you mean? Whoa. You hear this? Wait, can you guys hear this? Yeah. That's the whoa. I don't know if you guys could hear that or not, but that was crazy. Um, yeah, to build products or figure out what product to build in the first place. This comes back to like the Charlie Munger philosophy that I was talking about earlier, which is really, especially right now where things are changing so fast, most of your time should be crossing things off the list. Like, what should I not do? Like, if I go there, will I die? Charlie Munger always says, "Show me where I'll die, so I know to never go there." So basically, what I would do is I would make a list of industries, and then think about AI and the acceleration of AI and what has the highest exposure to being disrupted by AI, and you can kind of like cross those ones off your list. Or some of them, if there's like high chance of being disrupted by AI and you see a way you could innovate, there's a potential big business to be made there. If there's still gonna have if there's still gonna be some form of a moat there. But most of the time, you're kind of just gonna want to like use a process of elimination, invert, invert, to be able to pick the things that come to fruition. So basically, it's called using the inversion principle. Like, list out all everything that is a potential possibility, delete everything besides or just pretty much go through and delete everything, and the ones that aren't deleted will be the emergent ones that you can decide from. And then from there, I would go into, like, who are you as a person? Like, what are you good at? What skills do you have? Or what are you interested in? Or, yes, things like that. And then from there, you could go into more business practical sense of like, okay, well, what is the total addressable market for this? Is this somebody who will buy the type of product that I want to build? Or you could even say, what kind of product do they want, and I'll build it anyways. Um, and then you want to figure out like what is a market that is easy to target, and that is becoming a much easier with social media is to target any market, even with like YouTube you can target, like, plumbers on YouTube just by talking about something and saying, "Here's how you can get 10 more plumber businesses," whatever. Um, but, yeah, it really just comes down to adverting, looking at what's left, looking at yourself, and orienting yourself with your skill sets, and then figuring out, "Is this actually, like, a market that's good to approach?" I think an autonomous company is a great challenge to tackle now. By the time it has officially started as possible, much of the opportunity will be gone. Depends. There's definitely an argument to be made where like certain industries, whenever completely autonomous companies start, certain industries will kind of like die pretty quickly. But I think there's also like society takes a long time to catch up. If you look at how many people use Claude Code, it's like 0.01% of society even knows that Claude Code exists. Um, so I do think there's like a gap where for probably the next 5 to 10 years even, people will not understand like you can create completely autonomous companies. They're gonna look at it as this alien artifact, and they're so confused by it. That prediction could turn out wrong, but I I wouldn't be surprised if that's kinda how it goes. Yeah, we were very early, and it is hard to, like, really wrap your head around it. Um, I'm so used to creating YouTube content where, like, you guys watch it and you guys are so caught up and you know exactly what I'm talking about, and then I'll, like, go talk to my local people, and they just, like, or don't understand, they don't get it at all. Um, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's probably fair." So, let's see here. Bingo. I'm excited for Thursday. We should get some interesting model releases. Big chunk of the world population isn't even online yet. Also true. It is crazy to think about. I do think Starlink will enable a lot more people to get online, but it is kind of crazy to think about. What is Zeta? An era of super intelligent marketing is here. Hmm. Interesting. Curious. The future is Athena by Zeta. Your divine sources of a super intelligent marketing. This is literally my platform that I'm building. This is literally Distribution Engineer. They partnered with Palantir too, which is funny because Distribution Engineer is literally thought to be Hyros slash Palantir slash like scheduler. I think we'll get a usage reset would be nice. I don't know if we'll get that lucky. We probably will though, just because it was such a big hiccup. But I do think Fable should come back pretty soon. The unfortunate thing is I bought like 2 extra accounts whenever Fable came out because I ran through my first one so fast. And yeah, I just wasted that money, which sucks, but oh well. This is like a horrible website. No fucking way, dude. This is literally Distribution Engineer. I mean, Distribution Engineer is a little bit different, but ours is probably a little bit more leaning into automation because just because my constraint on myself is I want it to be like completely autonomous. But overall, I mean, it's very similar. It's kind of strange. But hey, I mean, I guess that's validation that it's a good trajectory. Let's see here. Preview lease. Okay. Starts when connects begin to run or grab from our side. So for agent turn release, this is where we have not manipulated the file system at all. It's just a normal agent turn, a conversation, maybe some research, maybe just some memory context. The sandbox should be deleted right after the agent turn is over. I believe we already have that, but just verify. For number two, the preview lease, this should be there should be an option for human intervention for the preview where a human can click stop on the preview. So the preview ends, the preview card goes away, and the sandbox stops. Or I think it should be a default 30 minutes where it just automatically stops, turns off, and the card goes off of the UI for the preview. For if we have edited files in a sandbox, that's where things get a little bit more interesting. Because what we should do is keep that sandbox for like 8 hours or something like that. And then it just becomes stopped and not deleted. But we also surface something to the UI that says, do you want to upgrade this sandbox into a project or something like that? Or save the contents in the sandbox or something like that. We just need to think about that user experience and how the save path actually works for that. This is local and not deployed yet. Improves the agent's retrieval path for X placement context, but it does not add scheduling posts or new database tables. What's next? Build a mental model of the current position. Let's orient ourselves and see where we are overall. See what's next from here. Plan out the next slice. Yeah. Do you think this is a too complex model for this and we should just keep it at default to sandbox deletes and make it so that people have to use projects if they want to save something? Or should we just default all threads to be in a project in general? And that way there's not accidental loss of files. This is a important decision. Let's think about it. And let's think about the trade-offs, the pros and the cons. Let's do it. Every thread is a project. Jeez. The problem is Daytona doesn't allow too many parallel sandboxes because it becomes storage bloat and it costs them money. Therefore, it will cost us money. Um, let's do deep research on Daytona's quotas and think about how we can work around this problem. All right, I'll be right back. Ugh. Hmm. Agent facing local scheduling action. Yeah. Do we have the scheduling platform, the scheduling substrate finished and ready for this? I think that's what we should start with, and then we can plan the actual tool call for the agent to be able to schedule things from there. And we need the agent to have like a temporal awareness. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Let's see. Every thread can be a project, blah, blah, blah. How should we think about this? What should the Polynet storage layer look like? We need to think about how to simply, efficiently, and effectively get files in and out of Polynet whenever sandboxes are spun up and down so that statefulness stays. Interesting. That solves the problem. If that works the way we want it to, that'd be super sick. Oh god, dude. Ugh. Yes. We have scheduling substrate start, blah 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 blah. Plan first slice. We really need some music. I need to figure out how we can get some like I talked to ChatGPT about this, and I'm curious if anybody in the chat knows what are the rules around this. But I'm pretty sure that YouTube doesn't like it when you stream music or when you're like, because what I would want to do is I would want to go to I have a few different YouTube channels that have good music that I like, and I would just want to play their music in the background in the stream. Seems like completely fine to me, but YouTube apparently doesn't like that. That's what ChatGPT says. Um, but I feel like people do that anyways. What do you guys think? Let's do some research on this and build a mental model from research and Daytona documentation and other types of research. We want it to be irreducibly simple, scalable, reliable, robust, and secure. Apply the Elon algorithm. Yes. Yes. Please work. There we go. Da, da, da. I feel like we should do research on this pass and look for people who have implemented this already. Look for products, projects, repos, etc., open sourced or not, and just do a comprehensive research pass to see what is the best model for doing something like this. Implemented the safe cloud runner slice. What changed? All right. How are we sitting now? Is this good and ready to test? Do we really need to do anything else? Let's build a mental model of the current position. How are we sitting? Analyze the ground truth. Boom, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum. Polynet equals durable state. Daytona sandbox, disposable compute. We're not going to use volumes at all. We're not going to use any Daytona volumes at all. The only thing we'll ever have is Polynet projects, but also just Polynet normal thread storage. I think Polynet normal threads should be able to store any of the files that we have inside of a sandbox. I don't think we should use volumes to store that because it's not scalable. I also don't think we should just use sandboxes to store that because it's also not scalable. If we look at the quotas from Daytona, that's not scalable. So the best thing to do, in my opinion, would be to make it so that threads kind of have their own way to store those things in a very simple, scalable way. And then projects are ways for people to package more context intentionally. What do you think? I think if you keep the background music low and not up front, you'll be all right. But I don't know the hard rules and how YouTube views it. But for chat retention, you'll probably keep people engaged for longer. Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. I might just test it one day, and if YouTube like does something about it, I just won't do it again. That's probably the best bet. Hmm. Here's also an interesting thought. I think threads are going to be a dying UI UX component pretty soon. And maybe we should just delete the concept of threads, make them disposable, kind of like sandboxes, and only have projects. Just delete the concept of a thread. They're useful until you create a new one, but then we should just have like a form of a compaction system to capture some of the context and stuff like that and store it for as memory instead of having many different threads. Because I think threads are a dying system. Um, and then from there, it'll be a lot cleaner, and we can just let users have up to 5 different projects, or maybe even up to 10, but we can start with 5, and then yeah. What do you think? This is a big change, but I think it's a worthwhile thing to explore. Alright, let's try this out. Cool. So if this works, what I'm about to test right now, this is a way, theoretically, to use your Claude Code subscription in third-party apps without pissing off Anthropic, because Anthropic doesn't like that. They don't like OpenAI is completely fine with it. You can use your codex rate limits in third-party apps, and they don't care. But Claude or Anthropic hates it. But I think you can do it now, and that's what we're gonna find out. Let's see. Yeah, let's connect Claude Code. See how it goes. Copy. Open tab. I'm gonna switch views so you guys don't see all this stuff. There we go. Hello? Oh, there we go. Please work. The big problem is you have to store your auth token on a computer and not in a third party database, and then just keep kind of like SSHing from that computer. And I think you can do it, but we're gonna find out here in a second. Hopefully, I don't get banned by Anthropic. Cool. So now, let me get this back open. See, it says login successful. We have just used the cloud computer and logged in with Claude Code on the cloud computer with my email. So I should be able to use my account rate limits in the cloud computer and interface with it with my UI here. And it should be fine. But there's like weird problems and stuff like that. Let's check a connection. Uh, let's see. Let's screenshot this, put it in here. Screenshot this, put it in here. It should work. Here, I did the Claude Code connection in the Daytona terminal in my browser, but whenever I click check connection, it doesn't seem to be finding it. Can we just do a deep comprehensive analysis here, build a mental model of the current system, and do deep research on Daytona and see what we can learn here? See if we can diagnose the problem. Yeah, but let's not do this for now. For now, honestly, we're probably in a pretty good state to think about pushing the current system to production and using it for now until we start to work on this. What do you think? Let's just orient ourselves here, make sure everything looks good, and then explain or list out the current path that we're on. We're currently on the staging path. I want you to list out all the components so I can hand it off to a different agent without the context, and it can pick up from here, and we can kind of reconcile ourselves on production. Let's think about it. Boom, ba boom, boom. Dude, I really dude. Should I just let's do it. We're gonna play some music. I don't care if YouTube bans me. If YouTube bans me, they ban me. That's how we're going right now. We're playing a little bit of music. Hey, look, there's me live streaming. A little Inception action. Anyways, let's find what is this? I'm not even sure. Let me know. Know if you can hear it. Johnny's Diner. Holy shit. All right. Is that loud? If you can hear it? I don't even know if you can hear it. Hmm, interesting. I don't know. Oh, there's lyrics. Unexpected. We'll go to this one. Alright, where am I at? Risk rates, strategy slash content, studio shows, studio shows, production state, placements are content, objects, publish jobs, executes, external mutations, yes, correct on that though. Alright, let's plan this out from first principles. Let's apply the Elon algorithm, see what we can simplify or delete. We want it to be irreducibly simple, scalable, reliable. Let's think about the irreducible architecture that is also the best user experience. We are probably close to a production candidate for the current architecture, but I would not touch the sturdy state law. I'm not sure about this man. On this guy. I just wish yeah, I wish I didn't here, let me grab my phone. That'll be the way I know if you guys can hear it. I'll listen to it on my end. Oh, let's see. Where am I? I don't hear anything. There's no music at all. Dude, what is going on? Dude, my audio sounds weird. What? Audio. Um, let's see. I don't hear anything. There's no music at all. Dude, what is going on? Testing, testing, testing. Does that sound better? I'm so confused. Anyways, we're just gonna keep it moving. Testing, testing, testing. Does that sound better? That sounds better to me. Anyways, we're just gonna keep it moving. Staging work tree, understandable enough. Blah 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 blah. Go. I still need to figure out this like whole music thing. Advanced. Sounds better to me. Staging work tree, understandable enough. Blah blah blah. Go. Yep. 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 Interesting. Dope. Maybe I just need to turn it up louder. La, 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 la. Interesting. I'll figure out the music thing later. We're just not gonna have any music today. It's all right. Okay. Cool. That's no good. I'll figure out the music thing later. We're just not gonna have any music today. It's all right. How are we sitting now? It seems this is good enough, or do we have any left? List out everything that's left from here before we merge into production. Ba-dum. How are we sitting now? Hardcore by Josh Lee. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you as well. Must do before production merge. Let's do it. Cool. Now lines up if we're on variant cloud. Login must have it with the same cloud config there. Just give it to me, man. Just give it to me. Just let me have it, dude. Can't be that complicated, bro. Dude, OpenAI needs to release some models with some better taste. If we get some OpenAI models that are like Claude but not Claude, if you know what I'm saying, like a little bit of Claude but not very Claude, that would be it's over. There's a little taste to it, a little pizzazz, a little personality in there. Um, Plan next steps. Dude, I don't know how people live stream for like 6 hours and talk the whole time, especially while you're working. Like vibe coding, I guess it's in some ways it's work, in some ways it's not work. But you still have to focus to be able to vibe code pretty well, and to be able to build something good, you gotta focus. And I don't know how people live stream every single day, like 6 hours a day, vibe coding. Like it would be hard for me to focus. Restart the moving parts. Blah 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 blah. Go. Pretty soon it'll be a lot easier, of course, as the models get better and they're more stateful and they're more autonomous. You just gotta point them in a direction and go. But I don't know. We shall see. All I know is I'm committed, bro. I'm gonna show up to the live streams every single day, and we're at least gonna hit 3 hours a day of live streams. We need the volume of content. I need a lot higher volume of content, and as we build Distribution Engineer, which is this platform, all of the content will be automatically distributed and will be a lot better. Because we need volume. You have to do so much volume that it would be. How does Alex Hormozy say it? He's like, do so much volume that it would be unreasonable for you to not succeed. And most people just massively underestimate the amount of volume it actually takes. Boom, boom, boom. I need more coffee, bro. I have a problem. I have a problem. Let's see. Oh, God. I think it's bright. Cool. We're sitting well from the local staging readiness angle. I did not change the code this turn. Blah, blah, blah. Plan next slice. I think something that's interesting that's happening right now is if you look at the way agents are controlling computers now, and really if you look at like what the ultimate form of an AGI system will look like, well, it's going to be like one agent that like owns its computer. And I talked about this a little bit earlier in the stream, but for anybody who might be new here or didn't see that part of the stream, I think what you want is a harness and an agent that owns its own computer. And in that way, you have something that's more of like an organization of agents that own their computers that's a lot more scalable. And you can start to actually build like an autonomous organization with agents that own their computers, and then they communicate with these other agents that own their own computers, and they can kind of work together, which is kind of crazy that we're approaching a realistic version of that somewhat working with the capabilities of these models and their harnesses and the harness engineering and context engineering around it. It's starting to piece together. So every app, every agent, every loop that you build, in my opinion, the substrate for it should be a Daytona cloud computer and a headless harness running on it. It can be Codex, it can be OpenCode, it can be Pi, Claude Code, probably not. I mean, you can, but you have to use your API. If you use Codex, you can just use your ChatGPT authentication and use your rate limits from your account. And then now you can have as many codexes as you want headlessly running on their own computers. Scale up, scale down on Daytona.io, which is this platform. This is the platform of the AGI future, in my opinion. Daytona, super duper powerful. If you're not using this as your runtime substrate, do it. You must do it because that's going to be what allows agents to be very autonomous and capable. Basically, give them a computer that they can own and live on, and be able to scale up and scale down as they're needed. And then you can again build an organization of those. Because AGI is around the corner. AGI is not as far as people think. It's pretty close. Cool. It's time to do the AGI build businesses. A good, interesting way to think about it is like we're all building our final businesses right now. If if we really are about to see the AGI, we're building the final businesses. Do it. Do it. Do it. I need to leverage the slash goals a bit more. But I also need my factory to be working better. Once the factory starts printing, then we're chilling. Provisioning. The way the way the three products piece together at the moment is we have the factory. This is the software factory that builds everything. The software factory builds itself, and again, it's not fully operating yet, but this is the vision, and it's definitely something that's going to be possible very soon. Is you have the software factory, and effectively the software factory is this. It's 5 headless codex runtimes on their own separate computer, and the factory is the process and the governance and the management and the systems around those things that allows them to operate as an effective assembly line. Proper context, proper skills, proper system prompts that allows them to be an effective assembly line. And the factory, for one, the factory will be able to build itself, but it'll also be able to build the other platforms like Distribution Engineer, which is the marketing platform, and Polynet, which is the community and multi-party memory platform, collective intelligence platform, if you will. And once as we get factory fully working and running, and it becomes much more capable of doing high velocity software engineering, which it's beginning to already, and then we have Distribution Engineer taking the content of my live streams here and then chopping it all up and redistributing it to all the other platforms across the entire internet. Probably like a couple hundred posts per day is the goal. And I just sit here and live stream all day. And then the community platform and multi-party memory systems connect all of these things together. And then eventually what you have is you can actually invite people to your community, to your multi-party memory system, and you guys can all build and leverage the shared memory artifacts in your workflows. Your agents can plug into this like an API, the shared memory systems, and then you get access. Of course you do. You're the one who founded the community and the multi-party memory system. You're the one who are the builder of the collective intelligence. And then you can also get other people to plug into your collective intelligence and give them access to your tooling to execute really hard. And now you can build a community of these people accelerating, scaling, and deploying high velocity and building multi-party memory systems, which is a lot of alpha. And that's the final moat, in my opinion. Yeah, that's exactly, Marcel, that's exactly basically what happens. So if I go to the software factory, we have the control room here. And in the control room, this is basically where you are orchestrating the agent. So let's look at this. This is basically software factory right here. This is me operating the control room. The control room is a headless codex harness that has its own system prompts and skills. And it operates on a Daytona execution environment, a cloud environment. And this orchestrates other headless codex harnesses on their own Daytona execution environments. So what happens is I communicate with this one and I figure out what I want to do in the product or the project, and I hand off to the architect. This one is the architect. The architect takes the goal that I gave it, and then it does a loop, an architect loop, and it continues to loop until it identifies the best architecture to use. And then it hands that off to the engineer. The engineer then does a loop and implements what the architect handed him. And then it goes to the reviewer. And the reviewer goes through the loop from the architect's plan and the engineer's implementation and makes sure it's all simple, scalable, reliable, robust, and secure. And if it's not, it hands it back to the engineer with implementations to fix. The engineer implements those implementations to fix. And then it goes back to the reviewer again. And if it's not ready yet, again, the reviewer pushes it back to the engineer. But eventually the reviewer will be like, okay, it's good enough. Now we can actually submit it to the human. The human is right here in the loop. And then you can push it to staging. And then you have a staging agent that tests it and pushes it to production. Um, but that's the entire pipeline, and that's this platform, Software Factory. And then you can have many different agents. As you can see, you can have the run history of the agents. We had a lot of reviewer and engineer passes right here. You can see it's a bunch of engineers and reviewers handing jobs back and forth to each other until they optimized it, and then they can hand it off. It's still early and it doesn't work perfectly, but it's coming together really quickly because this is like a 2 week old project, and it's moving pretty quick. But that's kind of the idea. Seems to need some kind of project management software the agent use. Yeah, I mean this is the project management software. This is the project management software. I don't think agents really need to use things like linear. Linear is outdated. What? Hello? Exactly. That's kind of the vision is Fable class models are coming very soon, and Fable class models are really good with context and just understanding what to do. So you can imagine Fable class models in this system, all with their own context, and you also have shared memory across these different agents, and all of the events ledgers are shared, and you have proper context injection into each model and each harness. Now they have a really, really good proper assembly line passing back and forth to each other. And you're just orchestrating one codex or Fable harness and then it passing off to the rest. LLMs are just as smart as humans, so human tools help them, at least for now. Um, yeah, I still think currently LLMs require a little bit of human judgment, but that's probably going to go pretty quick. We'll see. Um, but yeah, I think as long as you give them a proper computer, LLMs are becoming drop-in employees, but they need a computer. Kind of like whenever you are a drop-in employee for a company, you are an AGI that operates a computer. What we're about to have is the AGI that operates one computer. So what you need is scalable cloud computers that spin up and down as they're being used for LLMs. And that's what Daytona provides. And then you can build organizations that are like this structure, which are basically communities that all execute intelligently together. And they share multi-party memory systems, which are extremely effective. And that's basically the Polynet thesis. This is the collective intelligence platform that I'm building that basically has this structure where there's a multi-party memory system and everybody can plug in and executes multiple computers or orchestrate multiple computers with each computer has its own agent harness, which is kind of crazy to think about. We're already there. We're already there. It's just the beginning. This just became possible. As soon as as soon as Fable came out and I tested it and I started building loops with it and I tested this stuff with it, it's the first model that enables this class of execution. Paul model. What is your project about? Oh, Poly model. Poly model. Poly is a very popular name right now. I didn't realize how many things were going to be named Poly. Yeah, it seems like everything's named Poly right now. Bum. I see. So basically, you have a harness that it's kind of like Claude Code. Claude Code is an agent that orchestrates agents, and they all come back as one agent. I'm getting hungry, dude. I'm about to have to get some food here pretty soon. It's below the Claude and Codex CLI. So, because like I know, for example, Claude does spawn multiple agents that work together and come back as one agent, and so does Codex. So yours is like an extra multiple agent. I'm trying to conceptualize it myself. Okadokes, okadokes. All right, let's give this a try. Connect Claude Code. What is this? Why are you giving me a copy button for the login instructions? What the fuck? Okay. Why do you have a copy button for the entire login instructions? We don't need it for the entire login instructions, I'm pretty sure. Polymodel is an OpenAI compatible fake LLM endpoint that looks like a normal model from the outside, but internally runs adaptive workflows instead of only generating tokens. It can route the request, inspect state, use deterministic helpers, call tools, keep context, and verify answers before returning them. The goal is to make a weaker base model behave more reliably. Oh, okay, I see. Fake LLM. What does that mean? First, the snapshot promotion hit Daytona 502. Bad gateway during snapshot. Wait, blah, 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 blah. How are we sitting overall? No. It's not really an LLM, but it behaves like one. I'm so confused. How do you get something? Is it like kind of like a multiple question machine, or is it like a overall, we're in a good staging position, but not fully production ready yet. I hope to get an amplifier for LLMs. Okay. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'm about to go get some food, dude. I'm dying over here. I'm curious to see GPT 5.6. I'm pretty excited for that model. It's coming soon. Oh god. And a new voice model from OpenAI. ETA for the automated software company. Uh, I'll say 1 to 2 weeks. That could be wrong, but that's the goal. 1 to 2 weeks. The main thing that I'm caught up on right now with it is I want users to be able to use Claude Code. What is this? And be able to use their Claude subscription and the product, but maybe I just need to say screw that and keep it just OpenAI Codex. Um, the terminal command that you gave me, this one. Where am I supposed to paste this? Like, this is not very clear. There's no good instructions here. The user has no idea what to do. I don't even have any idea what to do. Like, we need to think about this a little bit more. And I'm starting to think this is like not a good idea. But what do you think? And also give me better instructions in the UI. Yeah, I hope it'll be out in like a week or two, and it definitely could be, but we'll see. The main thing that I'm working on now with it is if you look closely here, see how it says the role of the agent? It says reviewer, engineer, reviewer, engineer, reviewer, engineer. It goes back and forth. Well, what happened is I spent like I don't know, maybe a couple billion tokens yesterday on accident. Um, because they got stuck in a loop, like an infinite loop, not like a good loop, a bad loop. But that's definitely fixable, and I can fix that pretty quick probably. But once that's fixed and they're putting out things reliably and the pipeline is reliably working, which it'll just take some tuning. That's the big thing after we fix that loop is just tuning. It should be quick. It should be quick. I would say about a week, 2 weeks at most, but could be wrong. So we'll see. Ba-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-dum. And the cool thing is, it just uses your ChatGPT rate limits. So it's not like you're plugging in an API and wasting a bunch of tokens. It uses your ChatGPT rate limits. And OpenAI gives a lot of rate limit refreshes. Like I literally have a reset button right here. Do you want to reset your usage? I already did that this morning. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to make this YouTube video. Yeah, GPT 5.5 is a little bit annoying. It's has a little bit of like autist speak to it, but I don't know. I'm kind of used to it. It's kind of grown on me. Dude, these agents are taking forever. I love the Codex harness because of the browser use though, or the computer use tools. If you look closely, I don't know if you can see it in what you got, but it's using two different tabs at the same time with the computer use, and it's testing out two different workflows on the same product right now, which is sick. You said GPT 5.5 is making bad calls. You mean like taste calls or like architecture calls or what kind of calls? It just doesn't have as good taste. Because I do notice that the taste isn't very good. But I kind of, for me, with my projects, I know exactly what I want it to be, and I already have like the vision, and I just need it to implement it aggressively, and that's what I find Codex is really good at. You're right. The previous UI was doing blah 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 blah. Let's see here. Copy the command, paste them into the terminal below. Finish cloud site. Copy command. Open a tab. I'm gonna have to do this real quick. Yeah, it does have bad taste. I will say that. Codex has, or GPT 5.5 has bad taste. Very bad taste. But if you know exactly what you want, it's it can have pretty good taste. You just have to know exactly what you want. Or it doesn't have good taste. Let me take that back. It can aggressively implement the thing that you want it to. Yeah. It can aggressively implement what you want it to if you know exactly what you want. That's what I like about it, personally. No fucking way, dude. We just did it. It is working. Claude is now connected. You can see right here, Claude Code. We're using Claude Code rate limits inside of Software Factory without storing the authentication token as a third party, which means Anthropic should be okay with this. They shouldn't get mad. They shouldn't try to ban you as a user. They should be completely fine because the token is stored with the Claude harness. We're not running it headlessly or anything like that. The token is stored with your Claude harness within a computer, and that's what Anthropic says they allow. But we can still use our interface and our context to interface with Claude. That's the hypothesis here. Still testing, but we should now be able to come down to here and select Claude Code. Okay, we'll see. And then be able to use Claude Code from this platform with Anthropic's rate limits and not your API key. And it's super cheap. Not super cheap, but cheaper. Yeah, let's see. I'm kind of excited if this works. That's huge because I haven't really seen anybody make this work. You said it fixes by Band-Aid, then structurally. It can do that. Um, you just have to be very explicit with you want it to attack the architecture then rather than do a Band-Aid. You have to really like be explicit with that. If I do think you're right that with Claude you can kind of like vibe code. With Codex you can't. With Codex you have to agentic engineer. But with Claude, you can like lean into the vibes a bit more. Um, but with Codex, it's really good if you know exactly what you want to do. Currently, whenever I select Claude Code, it still says connect Claude Code before using this harness. Do you see that in the control room? Let's analyze and review the entire system from first principles, build a robust mental model for it, make sure everything looks good. God damn it, dude. I think we did it. Let's see. We're going to wait until the agent responds here, and then we're going to test Claude in the UI. I'm going to be stoked if this works. Hopefully Anthropic doesn't ban my account. That'll be the test. That's the ultimate test. God. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. Let's see. Select Claude Code. Hi. Okay. I selected Claude Code. I said hi, but then I got a return from Codex that says repo computer failed, etc., etc. We need to analyze the system and build a robust mental model of the current implementation in the harness selector and make sure that it's properly hooked up and working well and wired correctly. Let's think about it from first principles. Build a mental model for it. So explain to me the current leases and lifetime of sandboxes and stuff like that. Hmm, 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 hmm. Come on now. Feels like the agents are slower for some reason today. What's next from here? Let's plan it out. Oops. Whenever I am running an app in the UI and the preview is supposed to happen, the preview flashes out for a second while the agent turn is going. And then the agent then says some other things and says, I need to screenshot it, blah, 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 to analyze it before I show it to the user. So we get the flash and then it goes away. The agent screenshots it, and now it should be showing up here any second. Jeez, man. Are you going to show this stupid preview or what? Jeez. Can the AI really code a whole app, or is that cap? Oh, there it shows up. It depends on the complexity of the app. Like, this is a super simple app. I just one-shot it. Super duper simple weather forecaster or whatever. Um, it one-shot it successfully, completely easily, but it's not a very impressive app. So, like, the platform that I built, I don't know how to build it without an AI tool. I didn't code it myself. The AI coded the entire thing. Um, but it took a lot of iteration and going back and forth with the agent, and I have to actually still understand the architecture and all of those different things underneath and how the systems all work together. And I have to have a working mental model for the systems. Oh shit, what the hell just happened? Let's do deep research on this and look at the documentation, and let's think about what is the simple, scalable, reliable, robust, secure way to do this with with also the good user experience. And the agent needs to have a form of awareness and context and statefulness around this system. Let's just think about it. I think the way it should be is more so like tool calls. The agent can have a series of different tool calls to have to be able to build up the context of the scheduling system. The preview lease should be 30 minutes. And I thought we agreed that we're just going to make the default for sandboxes auto delete no matter what. As long as there's not a preview going, an agent turn going, or computer use action going, the sandbox should always auto delete instantly after the agent turn. But a live preview or computer use, two separate things here, can be counted as an active agent turn. But if the active agent turn is maybe not actually counted as an active agent turn, but let's think about it. Um, the preview should automatically shut off after 30 minutes if the human doesn't shut it off. If there's no preview or anything like that, even if we have context in the sandbox changing from the files system, from the agent manipulating it, we still just delete it instantly. Kind of like just a normal turn. Does this make sense? No, I think it can definitely help you build an app with Google Maps. Absolutely. It's definitely good enough to do that. I would go to whatever your favorite model is and just talk with it about the idea. If you use ChatGPT, I would install Codex, which is this platform. This is Codex. Or if you use Claude and install Claude Code, and then just have a conversation with it and be like, "Hey, here's my idea. Here's what I want it to do," and then it'll walk you through how you can build it, and it's really good. Like you don't have to know what you're doing. You just gotta let the agent guide you, and then you'll have to steer it so that your vision actually comes to fruition. But that's the extent of what you have to do. Oh, oh shit, man. Goddamn. All right. Yes, this is much simpler. Plan the slice. Um, what model do I recommend for coding? I mean, nowadays there, as long as you're using something from the frontier of OpenAI or Anthropic, either Opus 4.8 is good or GPT 5.5 is really good. I personally like GPT 5.5 just because um, I find it to be pretty aggressive if you want it to be. You can prompt it really hard and it can be quite aggressive and change a lot really quick. For Claude models, from my experience, um, they're more iterative unless you like when Fable was here, it could be a little bit more aggressive, but we don't have Fable anymore. Let's see. Factory. Claude Code. Hi. Please work. Please work. All right. I don't think it's working. Now it's stuck like this. Can you look into Daytona backend and see if anything's actually happening and this is just the UI being stuck or what's going on? Build a mental model for the current system. Boom, ba dum, boom. Ugh. Jeez. I might take a lunch break here in a second, but leave the stream on. Or maybe I'll just bring food here and eat right here. Hmm. What? Come on, man. Hurry up, dude. You can do it. Oh my god, dude. Why does Codex feel so slow right now? I feel like it used to feel so much faster. Maybe it's just me. Hopefully the GPT 5.6 model is a bit snappier. We need some speed. Like real speed. Insane speed. Insane speed. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty cool. What's going on here? Let's see. Hi there from Switzerland. What's up? What's up? How's it going? Read schedule context. Read blah 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 blah. Let's plan the first slice. Should we start with just the scheduler and making context for that? We could think of the different types of context packets for each post, such as the date and time and how it's scheduled and showing up um, as context to the agent. Um, Basically, like a ID and post and time and placement for each different post so the agent can have that context before it schedules. Should we focus on that context packet? Or should we focus specifically on just getting the actual scheduling to work at all and posting it at all right now? 40 degrees Celsius, geez. Yeah, I don't know Celsius, to be honest. Sounds hot. Yay. 3 hours. 3 hours and 5 minutes of live streaming. We need food. I'm hungry. Building an agentic harness here. So I'll kind of give you a walkthrough of like 3 different products that are each agent harnesses and agent loops that all kind of like works synergistically with each other. They kind of feedback in a feedback loop into each other. Here, I'll make this the big screen for you. So we have a community platform, and it's also kind of like a collective intelligence platform, as I guess the best way to think of it, because it has multi-party memory systems, but it also has execution environments like Codex, and it also has Discord and Slack like features. So it's kind of like a combination of Discord, Obsidian, and Codex, and that's this platform here. So whenever you chat with this agent, you're actually chatting with a headless Codex harness that uses Daytona computer as an execution environment. And it also has the community side. So there's actually a community in here. It's free to join if you guys do want to join. It is completely free to join if you want to join and build. But the way to think of it is it's a collective intelligence platform. So people can come on here, and if you want, you can build a collective intelligence. You can click this plus button, and then you can build a collective intelligence. So far, we have 6 different builders building collective intelligences. It's really communities with memory system and Codex agents on their own computers. Um, so that's that. And then we also have the factory. This is um, like a software factory is a good way to think about it. So that's this platform. And here you have the ability to orchestrate agents in a pipeline as a factory. You can see the different factory logs here of agents doing things in a pipeline. And you can orchestrate all of those from here. This is the orchestration layer, and then it queues off to the agent layer. And there's an active fleet that will start running as you send off tasks to the fleet of agents, and they'll pass the task down through the assembly line. And then lastly, there is the marketing platform called Distribution Engineer, and that's this one. And this is basically a way to integrate your social media accounts and take all of the content, take all of your content, take all of the sales processes and all of that, and store it as an embedded memory system, an ontology for the agents to be able to search through, kind of like, you know, how agents search through a code base or a repository. Basically, we're building the repository or code base for marketing context and for marketing analytics and all that stuff, so that agents can make decisions autonomously for users and their marketing efforts and their sales efforts. So yeah, this is what that is, and what these do is they kind of like feed back into each other. So we have the multi-party memory system that can be a memory system that kind of connects these two platforms together. But each of these platforms also have their own memory systems. And then the software factory can actually help build itself, and then it'll help build the other platforms. And in the marketing platform, it's kind of like a marketing factory, really, can help market itself, but also market the others. And then this one is the hub that kind of connects it all together like glue. This is a memory system, a memory platform, and you can kind of view it as a memory marketplace. And my bet is in the future, one of the last moats at all is going to be memory and community. That's pretty much it. Kind of like a collective intelligence. And the thesis is AI systems are exponentially becoming more capable. The nature of work, organizations, and value in general are changing. And trust is becoming a rare asset. So memory systems and communities are kind of like some of the final moats. And overall, whenever you kind of combine all these systems together, it can start to look like this. And this might be a little overwhelming at first. But if we were to isolate this down to just me and what I'm doing, you can run an agent harness in a computer, and then that orchestrates a bunch of other agents that have their own computers. And then you can build the community that of people that all do that and the shared memory system between them all. Um, it's kind of, yeah, like that's one of the products is an automated artificial factory builder. That's one of the products. That's this one. Um, this is the one that's kind of like the autonomous software factory. But the big thing is the connection of all three of these things together because they all feed back on each other. So the factory builds itself and it builds the other platforms. The marketing platform distributes and gets users. And then this is kind of like the multi-party memory systems and the trust. Because right now things are moving so fast, and a lot of the products that we view as very valuable today are gonna seem like so arbitrary very soon because it'll be so easy to build them. So the bet with Polynet and what I'm building is memory systems and communities are kind of the final moats. That's where you can get trust. That's where you can get execution. That's where you can get new alpha and signal outside of the frontier models, and then that can be in the form of a memory system. But based on distribution trust, the common currency. I think your comment got cut off there. Oopsies. Yeah, let me know if that makes sense. I know it's a lot all at once. The big bet is Polynet. If you go to polynet.ai, there's more context there as well. Ugh, I'm getting so hungry. I just want this to work. Let's see. Refresh. Claude Code. No. I already connected Claude Code. What do you mean? We're getting the same connect Claude Code before using this harness error again whenever I select Claude Code in the harness picker. But it says it's connected. Dude, what? I'm getting a lot of errors in Codex. This is strange. I never get errors in Codex. What's today? Okay. Oh. I need fuel. Bum bum. I really need to figure out the whole music situation with live streaming because I feel like the vibes in the chat aren't as good as they could be. Codex is preparing to switch to GPT 5.6. Yeah, hopefully this Thursday we get it. I'm excited for that. I need it. I need it bad. Hmm. Yeah, 1.5 million token context window will be pretty crazy. How big is Geneva? I feel like it's a pretty, it's not very large. Yeah, that's not very big. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how well it uses its entire context window. But if it's anything like GPT 5.5, should be impressive. Ugh. How are we sitting overall now? How close are we for our production? What is left on the list before we can make it production? All right, let's try this one more time. Yo, please work. We just need Claude to respond. No way. No, it was GPT 5.5, this guy. Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna, yeah, we're not doing the Claude thing in the, yeah. I just wish Anthropic was like OpenAI and they let people use the authentication token and other third-party apps, but it's just too annoying. So I select Claude Code. I send a message in the interface, and Codex is responding. Not Claude Code, Codex. Um, we can either try one more thing to see if we can get Claude Code to respond, but I'm starting to think that this is probably just like not a tractable path because of the nature of not being able to run Claude Code headlessly while using the um, Anthropic authentication token. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be a good idea and it's not going to work long term. So we should probably just lean back into Codex really hard, unless um, you think there's one last thing that will fix it. I think we're probably pretty much ready to make it go on the production path. What do you think? I mean, it feels like a lot of this is a nice to have. It's not absolutely needed. It seems like we're probably good. I think what we need to do is just have you explain the current staging path that we're on, what work tree we're on, all of that good stuff, and then I can hand it to a different chat to help orchestrate the merging of this with what's live in Origin main so we don't accidentally leave out anything that we did there. This may be oversimplifying, but could you ask it to constitute Cloud Opus thinking level while having Cloud Code sign into the same workspace? I'm not sure what you mean. Like have Codex do that? Or yeah, I mean I've been asking Codex to use the Daytona snapshots to create a configuration that has the default setup for Cloud Code properly so that we can run Daytona or run Cloud in Daytona and use it through this interface. The problem is Anthropic doesn't allow people to use their authentication token in Claude Code in a headless fashion. And the only way to make this work really well is to use Claude Code headlessly, but Anthropic doesn't allow that. Um, but fortunately, OpenAI does. So that's why I'm using Codex, because you can run Codex headlessly, and you can use Codex within your applications and use their harness um, and their authentication token so that you can just use your Codex rate limits instead of having to spin a bunch on API tokens. But I don't think Claude allows that. Oh, I see what you're saying. Have Codex and Claude signed into the workspace and then ask Codex to basically prompt Claude in that background terminal within Daytona. Is that kind of what you're describing? I've thought about doing that. Um, it just maybe it's just me, but it seems like there's like a weird layer of abstraction there that might confuse users, but maybe not. I could test it out and see what the user experience is like. Here is the staging path for something I've been working on for a while. What we need to do is plan how we can put this on production, but also keep the small changes that we've made throughout our entire development cycle in this aspect. We've created the MCP stuff, but we've also done a lot of stuff with the system prompts and the skills and the tooling around the Polynet user experience. So basically, we need to um, analyze both of the states of both of these different work trees and see what is the best path from here. God damn it. I hate when that happens. So this is a lot of work I've been doing on a different staging path for Polynet. And what I want to happen is we need to basically build a mental model of all the things that we've implemented in our work tree here. And then we need to look at that work tree and see what we implemented there and see how we can merge these safely while keeping all of the different things that we've added here, such as all of these small things in the UI with the token streaming, the tool streaming, the user experience, the system prompts, and all of that good stuff in the harness and the user experience here. But also we want to port over this codex first approach into this harness here. Does this make sense? Let's just build a mental model of both work trees and their states and see what is the best path. Can I share my personalization settings? Yes, I can. Let's see here. Let's go settings, personalization. Let's see. Oh, can I? There we go. So basically, I just lean really hard into the Elon algorithm, which is basically an algorithm to make things irreducibly simple as far as architecture goes, as far as user experience and user interface goes. Um, and it's, yeah, basically this is just a bunch of prefacing of like how I want it to behave. And then this is the actual thing that helps it think from a first principles lens, which is basically constantly ask yourself if something is truly needed or if there is more efficient solutions. We religiously follow the Elon algorithm, question every requirement, rate each requirement on the idiot index. If it's high on the idiot index, delete, 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 delete. Only keep the irreducible parts that are physically needed for it to work at all. Then finally, we can optimize. The biggest mistake we could make is optimizing something that should have been deleted. After we optimize, we can then accelerate and automate. Blah blah blah. I should probably even improve that, but it's fine. Um, that's the big thing is the Elon algorithm. Question every requirement. Delete, delete, delete. Optimize, accelerate, automate. What is the current status of Polynet? Is it attracting users, making money? Yeah, I mean, we're making a little bit of money. Not much yet. It's still pretty new. We have 6 different builders right here. If I go to my operating lens, you can see there's a few more builders. But so far, if we go to members, we have 74 members in here. I'm in a few of the different communities that are being built on here. We have 15 members in this guy's community. Um, yeah, so on and so forth. There's a few different communities being built on Polynet. And yeah, it's still early though, very early. And it's getting better every single day. The community is the moat. I think community is the moat, but also multi-party memory systems, and really just memory systems in general. I think memory systems are going to be a huge moat in the age of AI because that's the differentiation. If you think about an economy, everything that isn't differentiated becomes commoditized. But whenever we have continuous learning and more robust memory systems, that is by definition differentiation. So one of the things Sam Altman was talking about is how every user wants their agent to be a little bit different and kind of tuned to their taste and their liking and the way they work. And that is naturally a form of differentiation. So the agentic economy, some people will say that it's just not going to be a thing because it's all going to collapse down into the same thing and become a commodity. But it depends because if every agent has so much differentiation and the memory systems have different signal or different noise or different alpha, different things that can be exploited or used, it could just create a new, different economy as long as we have proper continuous learning and differentiation continues to become more complex. Um, and I think that's probably the most probable case, which means memory systems and systems that cause information to become more diverse or more interesting or useful and have high signal, those systems are going to have massive alpha, if that makes sense. So memory systems and communities. That's the future. That's my bet on the future, at least. And that's where we can start to build structures that look like this, communities that look like this, and organizations and execution communities, really. Pretty much organizations like companies. This is basically what I think the future of the company looks like. From hierarchy to intelligence. That's Jack Dorsey's blog post. So, do you see the return that Claude output? Do you see the output from Claude? Yeah, memory systems, agency, having like a philosophical lens on technology and how it's going to develop, I think is very important. What am I making? I'm basically building three different products that feed back on themselves. So there's kind of like the hub, which is Polynet, the pink one. And this is a community platform with memory systems that people can build and plug into and to increase their agents' horsepower, basically. And then, yeah, that like a whole deep video, just what Polynet is. And then we have the software factory, which is the one with the hammer. Software factory is basically a way to orchestrate teams of agents to do extremely high output. Let me actually make this bigger for you. And then we have distribution engineer, which is the one on the left, and that is the marketing platform that fuels the distribution for all of these. So these live streams are something I plan on doing a lot more often. And then distribution engineer will be looking for these live streams, feeding them into the system, chopping up all the videos, and redistributing it across all of the platforms. Um, the software factory will be building itself and these two platforms. And then Polynet is the community product, the community platform in the memory system, the glue that holds it all together, really. And then that enables something like this over time, where people join Polynet, they get access to the memory systems, and then they can build their own agent fleets and execute with very high volume on Polynet, etc. And I think this is the future of just like companies and organizations in general, is they start to look something more like this. Whenever if you think about it, like companies are becoming software. Organizations, companies, businesses, they're becoming software. And whenever software eats something, the structure of that thing changes because now information travels differently. So my bet is that companies start to look more like the architecture of a circuit board than the hierarchical systems that we once had, if that makes sense. I'm really hungry. I'm about to pause here and go eat. We might have to wrap it up. It's been 3.5 hours. This is my first live stream, so not too bad for a first live stream, 3.5 hours. Um, yeah, let's get to 3:40, and I'm gonna wrap it up and go eat because I'm so hungry. Okay, so if we actually got a real Claude output, how do we feed that into the UI? Is the implementation that we just implemented, does it fix that? How do we get that from Daytona and put it in the UI very efficiently and effectively? Will you allow people to provide inference as a resource on Polynet so that others can use inference as needed? Yeah, the current structure for inference on Polynet is you can provide your own inference currently. So if we go to account here, you can connect your inference provider. So you can either connect your ChatGPT account and use your subscription plan from ChatGPT, so your subscription rate limits from your Plus account or your Pro account, or you can connect an API key from OpenAI, and we'll have other model providers soon. But those are the two paths right now. You can either use your Plus and Pro account or your API key, and everybody can provide their own inference that way for now. But if you mean like building a community and providing inference through the community, um, that would be interesting. And I think that is something that we might implement eventually. I would be curious to hear any more ideas or thoughts you have on that if you have any. Before we do anything, I just want you to analyze and make a list of all of the different things that we want to preserve of our work tree here, and then list out the things that we want to port from the new work tree. And provide MCP servers. Yeah, so Polynet, if you come to settings and go to integrations, Polynet has an MCP server with 15 workspace tools that you can connect to. You can copy this, and then you can go to your agent harness. Let me go to new chat, and you just paste this directly into your agent harness, like this. Here, I'll make it bigger screen. Drag and drop, there we go. So I just basically copied it, pasted it into my agent harness. Now, this is the instructions for it to set it up autonomously. All I have to do is send it, click go, and it'll connect Polynet into Codex for me. Or if you use Claude Code, it can do the same thing. But if you maybe, do you mean provide MCP servers to your community? Is that what you mean? Because we also have that. So if you go to the community and you go to the agent page here, let me make this bigger. So let's say you want to provide MCP servers to your community members, and maybe you built some MCP servers yourself, and you want to monetize those MCP servers in your community. In your community, you can come down to AI agent, and you can go to apps here, and then you can connect MCP servers. And eventually, we don't have this yet, you will be able to have your own built MCP servers that you can connect to your community. And then if somebody joins your community and the only way they get access to those MCPs is through your community, whenever they leave, it'll pull it out of their harness, and now they get access to those MCPs. Local inference is going to become more common, and if you have communities building on Polynet, it would be advantageous to allow users to contribute inference. That yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, users will be able to build communities and keep MCPs in their communities and wrap their communities around their MCPs. So now, let's say somebody wants to join my community and get access to my apps and MCP servers and all of the agent workflows that I have set up. If they join the community, their agent harness instantly gets these ported into them. These instantly get ported into their agent harness. And then if they leave the community, it gets pulled out of their agent harness. So it stays gated with the community. Go. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna end the live stream here. Thanks everybody for joining. It was actually fun. I'm gonna do these. I'm gonna try to do them every day. I'm gonna try to do them every day. So yeah, we'll do one tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And we'll see how it goes from there. All right, everybody. I'll see you later. Thanks for joining. I'll see you tomorrow.